Settle down, class. Hello, current and future marketing persons, and welcome to Marketing 101. I'll be your professor, and today we'll be going over video game trailers. As you're likely aware, the purpose of trailers is to create buzz for a particular game and to entice your intended audience into purchasing said game. The reason this is needed is because the more attention your product gets, the more sales upon the game's initial release, which means more profits for game companies so that they can make more games, and the cycle continues. And with demos and rentals for games becoming less and less frequent, it's harder to try a game before purchasing the full-priced experience, meaning people rely more on trailers for games than ever to decide if they want to purchase a title. Making a trailer for a game that will guaranteed sell well is pretty simple though. Show a little gameplay, a few cutscenes, and cap it off with some big set-piece moment or tease a cool concept the game has. But there may be times where you're tasked with advertising a game that people may not buy due to it being, well, not that good, or its genre is too played out, or maybe it's not even close to being finished. Well, just in time for E3 season, let's go over how a good trailer can not only build hype for your game, but also hide its larger flaws. To start, it never hurts to have a teaser trailer. Typically, teasers or reveal trailers are less than a minute long and just announce that a game's in the works. But why tease something that isn't even finished, you might be asking? Well, it's because you need to build interest for something long in advance so that by the time it's actually released, the largest amount of people will be aware of it and wanting to purchase it. And since teaser trailers are a good way to let gamers know that your project is in development and push start the hype train, they have become pretty much vital to a marketing campaign's success, especially if you're a larger developer with a recognizable IP that fans are begging for. It's almost become an industry standard that teaser trailers are released years before the actual project will be complete, allowing marketing teams to string along info-hungry gamers with bits of news and speculation on a game months or even years before the game is actually finished. Plus, since a teaser trailer is only meant to tease a game's concept and not necessarily the game itself, it can be as abstract or imaginative as you want and doesn't have to represent your finished product. Tekla in 2011's Dead Island sold out like crazy, even though it was a mediocre version of Left 4 Dead or a less charming Dead Rising 2, because gamers were sold on its imaginative and emotional announcement trailer. At the end of the day, a teaser trailer just needs to grab your audience's attention so that they will be excited for more later on, whatever that is. Oh, and if you can include a request for pre-orders at the end of your teaser, the better, because even if you don't have a proof of concept or any type of gameplay finished, it's never too early for people to give you their money, right? Right. Now, you've put out your teaser trailer and got some interest, it's time to get to the actual trailers. One of the most important things you can do is find your hook, the thing that will grab people's attention and you can balance your marketing campaign on. Whether that be an intriguing story, polished mechanics, a unique gameplay gimmick, nostalgia for an old IP, or nice graphics because there's really nothing else to advertise. Gamers will often ignore noticeable flaws if there's something they can grab onto in the promotional material. And if you think I'm wrong or being facetious, remember that Sony and Sean Murray were able to keep the entire gaming community desperate to play No Man's Sky for 2 years with the promise that the game would have an infinitely procedurally generated universe that you could explore and do anything in. Despite the fact Sean Murray couldn't concretely answer the question, what do you do in the game?
Exactly.
So No Man's Sky,
right.
What am I doing? What do I do?
Okay.
What is the game now, you know?
Something to avoid, however, is adding a narrator into your trailer to explain the quality of your game. It was cute in the 90s and we had our fun, but don't make the same mistake Deep Silver made when advertising Mighty No. 9.
You kill an enemy, and you can absorb their power-ups. Stuff that'll make you faster and stronger, and make the bad guys cry like an anime fan on prom night.
In the past, back when we cared about how many bits a game console had, Nintendo wanted Mike Tyson to sell their games, and the competition between Mario and Sonic still had some kind of relevancy, yeah, having a narrator explain the merits of your game still was a popular idea due to video games still being only understood by nerds. But nowadays, video games are played by pretty much everyone, and they want to be shown something cool, not told how cool it is. Just follow the old show don't tell adage. Unless you're able to get celebrities or popular internet personalities like Stamper as your narrator, then go for it.
gross! What smells like pee and feet? Hey, this is a jail cell!
Instead of using a narrator to build your quality trailer, a better option is to add voice dialogue from the game itself. Overlaying lines from the game over different scenes not only gives a high quality feel to it, making it more engaging, but can tie cutscenes and gameplay bits together thematically and add a level of intrigue, since it will cause those watching your trailer to wonder what the context of those dramatic lines are from and what they will lead to. I know I was sold on the Phantom Pain not because I was a fan of the Metal Gear series, but because of the climactic sounding trailers, which created this vision of a narrative where language would become a weapon, worldly philosophical ideologies would clash, and we would see Big Boss become the villain of the series he's known as. None of which actually came to fruition, and a lot of that dialogue used in those trailers were from optional cassette tapes.
A single dish, providing a balanced helping of nature's blessings. Meat, grain, and vegetable. How could anyone hate such a magnificent thing? Says the guy who can survive on photosynthesis.
But Kojima is the master of the marketing bait and switch.
No, that is not Solid Snake.
Speaking of Kojima and the Phantom Pain, the music used in the trailer is another important factor to consider, as it can set the tone your game is hoping to have and the pace of the trailer itself, with horror games being more slow and eerie, while action games will be something more fast and exciting, likely a rock or dubstep track. You know, whatever the kids are listening to lately. Syncing the action of the trailer with the music will also add a certain polish to the trailer and pull the viewer into the rhythm of it, and adding over in-game sound effects like punches and gunshots can enhance this. If you can afford it, licensing a popular song is a good option too, because they can elicit a particular response better than most video game OSTs can, since they'll likely already have a certain connotation to it, like children's songs being creepy when put over horror settings, or 80s pop rock being associated with fun times. Plus, even if your audience isn't that into the game itself from the outset, they might continue watching so they can listen to their favorite tunes. In fact, the more you can make your trailer look like a music video, the better. Now, if your game is still looking a bit on the rough side prior to releasing a trailer, in lieu of using cutscenes with in-game dialogue, cinematic trailers are another good way to build hype. Basically, cinematic trailers allow you to ship the work out to a CG studio to make a short movie that gives the impression of what your game is about without actually having to show the game itself. These types of trailers are great for games that might not look fantastic or exciting during gameplay, and can put your game's tone and world in the best possible light for your audience. DC Universe Online's cinematic trailer portrayed it as this massive, bombastic clash between good and evil, with your favorite heroes and villains fighting to the death for survival in an all-out battle that bests anything DC's film franchise has yet to put out. When, in reality, the game is your average pedantic MMO with nothing really new to offer other than making your DC OC come to life. The trouble with cinematic trailers, however, is the more savvy gamers will quickly note that there's no actual in-engine gameplay shown in them, meaning there's nothing to get excited about, so they may be cautious of them. But even if your audience knows they aren't seeing gameplay, if the cinematic trailer is done well, they're subtly getting excited for it regardless, seeing pulse-pounding action and cool set pieces, making them more prone to pre-ordering the game in the hopes that it will live up to the expectation that the short movie has set. Then there's live action trailers. These are a bit tougher to do well, but can really humanize your product and connect it to your audience, especially if you want to tap into the nostalgia of older demographics that have a long-lived attachment for a particular series or franchise and want to relive fond memories. You can also make it feel as though what is being shown in the trailer is how the player will feel when experiencing your game, which can be very good marketing material. This can be a double-edged sword, however, because live-action imitations of games can also look incredibly awkward if not done well. If we learned anything from the Kinect era, it's that motion controls aren't a selling point anymore. So, for the love of God, please avoid them.
You ever wonder what the bottom of an Avatar shoe looks like? Well, bam! There it is.
Now, when you're pushed into a corner and have to show gameplay in your trailers, cutting is your best friend. I'm sorry, that might have come out wrong. I mean cutting and editing. Having frequent cuts adds excitement, since it makes the action look fast-paced, but another added benefit is that it allows you to avoid showing extended gameplay. If your audience can examine the gameplay at length, then it's easier for them to find problems with it. This is why dynamic camera angles that likely won't show up in the actual gameplay can give the impression that the title is more exciting than it actually is, and can avoid the trailer from getting repetitive. Even if the game is. Plus, since most people have short attention spans, they would likely prefer something that's quick and gives the broad strokes of it, and a lot of cuts allow you to show all the different things included in your game in rapid succession. I mean, in the extended trailer for Phantom Pain, the traveling across the open world is literally fast-forwarded through so that Kojima can get to the point, and only slows down to briefly show off new gameplay mechanics. Lastly, as the trailer progresses and the music builds up, the cuts should become more frequent and faster, building up the excitement before ending on the climax that is the title of the game and its marketing design tagline. It also never hurts to up the visual fidelity of your game for the trailer. If we learned anything from the announcement trailers of King of Fighters 14, it's that gamers, especially fans of particular franchises, can be a fickle group when it comes to the visual quality of their games. Having the highest quality rendered graphics for your trailer ensures your audience that they are seeing the best version of whatever you're showing them, even if the game currently doesn't look like that and might not by time of release. But you can always get that sorted out by the end of the development cycle. And if the visual quality of your trailer looks a bit on the rougher side, just remind the audience it's alpha footage material and will be improved later as the development continues, even if the game's going gold in less than a couple months. And since terms like alpha and beta have come to mean public demo and not actual stages of development, make sure to offer them as pre-order bonuses. And while we're on the topic of using words that have lost their meaning, when advertising your game, typically at press events like E3, remember to use buzzwords to describe the features your game will have. Is the title more cutscenes and set pieces than actual gameplay? It's a cinematic experience. Is the game copy and pasting another massively successful game's format but couldn't get the naming rights? It's a spiritual successor. Is it an older title that's getting ported with a slight graphical update and better lighting? It's remastered with cutting-edge graphics. Did it win something at another press event where critics played the most polished 15 minutes of the game? It's award-winning. And if you run out of things to say, just start throwing buzzwords out with no context. Dark, complex, revolutionary, epic, innovative, streamlined, Levolution, Cliff Bleszinski. Whatever makes the game sound more impressive. Even when you're discussing the gameplay, find the best word to describe it. It's not just gameplay, it's emergent, or dynamic, or immersive, or extreme. It's through all these techniques and more that AAA video games have become a multi-billion-dollar market, and it's why it's become harder and harder to differentiate a quality game from a not-so-quality game with the marketing material alone. This is also why events like E3 have become all about generating as much hype as possible for games that are still in development for years, in the hopes that they can be as profitable as possible once they finally come out, and thus making it hard for consumers to trust what they see on the main stages of these events. With that in mind, there may come a time when your game releases and those who bought your game because of trailers and promotional materials will feel disappointed or lied to because it wasn't what they were promised. This can be a tough situation to handle, but there is something you can do. It's simply a matter of... Oh, what's that? Crap. Okay, it sounds like the lecture about Gamergate has escalated into a full-on riot, so we will have to wrap this up for today. For next class's assignment, read on the chapter on how to make the most memeable content during press conferences, and I'll see you next time. Hey, put that grad student down. He's still got papers of mine to grade.